We're locked in, by the way. Welcome, Mark.
So good to see you, man.
So good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Everybody, Mark, thanks for taking the time out of your day to come on the podcast and have a chat. Because how long are you in Melbourne for?
Just over a week. Yeah.
Over a week.
Yep.
How long have you been back in New Zealand for? How long have you been?
Couple of years, probably 3 years. Yep. So I'm one of the few people that went back to New Zealand instead of leaving.
Yeah.
I did originally leave and then came back. So
it's a pretty common thing not to go back.
yeah, I mean, most Kiwis, they're known for just, leaving, going overseas and probably not coming back. Yeah. So that was a surprise that I just decided this feels like the right thing. So
yeah, like why did you decide to go back? Like what was the main driving factor?
Yeah, well, I guess, the whole COVID thing happened. We're in Melbourne. We had one of the longest lockdowns in the world, probably.
Yeah.
And it's a big decision, to do something like that, to say I'm going to shift countries. So, and, I decided to go back for Christmas, and see the family, because I hadn't seen the family, and I'd been in Melbourne for 19 years, so it's quite a long time. Time flies.
Yeah.
Great city, have a good time. Then sort of think, well, family's important, so I just sort of went back to see how it felt, and it felt good, So, yeah, it was just like going on my instinct. I always sort of make big decisions on my instinct. You can't ignore your instinct. I've learnt that the hard way.
Yeah, got to follow the heart.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a pretty good move. How do you rate the feeling, the climate of New Zealand compared to Melbourne? Obviously, you left Melbourne in a pretty heated time.
Yeah.
Like right on the back of lockdown.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy time. There's a long story, but
got all night, man.
So what was the question?
How do you feel about the climate of New Zealand compared to Australia? Because I guess not the weather climate, but like we started this conversation, it can be turbulent times right now. It sort of feels like shit's changing rapidly. Do you feel like it's a better place to live at the moment?
Yeah. So we had an election sort of not too long after I moved back. And I think, the first thing you notice when you go to New Zealand, that if you go somewhere from somewhere busy like Melbourne, you notice the energy is sort of a lot lower and calm. It's not saying bad lower, but just like more chill. You really notice that it hits you.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful country. Like I still blown away by how beautiful it is. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough time there, with the economy at the moment. The government sort of slashing their spending. The economy's not great. So that's tough. But I do think that the government's making some really good positive changes. They seem to have, like, Labor went out, the new coalition government came in, and I think it's a positive thing. There is a lot of, heated debate going on, with different, I guess, the Pākehā and the Maori have always had some tension. So that's kind of still there, I mean, yeah, but I think, for me, it's good, it felt right for me, and I just love the place, So it all comes down to, it just felt like the right thing for me, and it's a beautiful country.
Yeah. I haven't been there. I want to go there.
It's a good
Have you been skiing or like snowboarding? Have you done that before?
Yes. Yeah. A long time ago. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of great places to ski. If you want to go skiing, it's cheaper to go skiing in New Zealand than go skiing in Australia, I think, or, Mount Hotham or whatever. Just go to New Zealand.
Yeah, man. I really want to. I went snowboarding. I went skiing. Well, I went snowboarding. Went with a group of friends the weekend that just passed to Mount Hotham. And I had the feeling of like, I can't believe I've gone almost 30 years and I haven't gone snowboarding before. It is so much fun. And they said the snow was shit that weekend and I still loved it so much. I reckon I fell over like 1,000 times. I crashed so much, but everyone there was like, oh, it'd be pretty cool to get over to New Zealand because I think for probably the same price it is to go here, you could probably get flights and go do it there as well.
Yeah.
Which would be wicked.
Yeah, it's a good place to sort of go that's not too far away and it's not too different, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to do it.
Yeah.
How long have we known each other for?
Yeah, it would have been, well, when did you, because I started, it would have been, I came to Melbourne around early 2000s. Might have been, I probably would have possibly met you around 2003, but I don't think it was. It was when you, joined the dojo.
Yeah. Yeah. So for context, anyone who's listening, Mark and I have trained together doing martial arts for 10, 15 years on and off, something like that. You've taught me a lot. Taught me a lot in your time, which is good.
Yeah. It's good to learn something, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Well, it's a pretty cool way to build a connection. Like I've said it on previous podcasts, but like having physical training for men as some sort of medium to like catch up and get to know each other. You know, because with a lot of guys, you're not normally sitting down and having like a 3-hour conversation to like learn about each other's lives and stuff. Sometimes it's like a 1-minute chat after training.
And you're all doing something that's like awesome, you know?
Yeah.
This is awesome, you know?
Yeah, you're all doing something. Yeah, you're all doing something awesome. And like it's a good way to work together, I think, without talking, like communicating on a different sort of level.
Yeah.
I think, because I don't know, sometimes just hanging out and talking just isn't the way.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, even when you go for a walk, you know, if you walk and talk, if you go for a walk with a friend, somehow the movement helps the conversation somehow. I don't know how, but I always find, you know, walking and even training, you know, you don't talk all the way through training, but, you know, you can sort of catch up and.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to get along, and it's kept you young. Far out. What I wanted to talk to you about, man, is, and we've talked about it briefly, but I wanted to kind of get an in-depth version of it because I don't know, maybe other people know people who have done this, but I don't know anyone who's done this, which is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, a 40-day juice fast.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, it turned out to be, you know, 43 days, but I guess it takes as long as it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was something I never expected to do, but I ended up sort of doing it. I felt out of necessity. I was like, I have to do this.
Why? How are you, what brought it on? What were you feeling like?
I mean, I'd learnt about fasting a little bit. Some of my work colleagues, you know, I can remember intermittent fasting came out.
Yeah.
Like it was like on a documentary or something.
Yeah.
And so a couple of my workmates were doing, you know, 2 days low calories and then the third day eat whatever you want and then 2 days low calories. And I don't know. I think they just wanted to trim down or something. And so they were doing it and talking about it and they were just starving. You know, they were really struggling on the 2 days and I just thought, that's not for me, you know. But we had started talking about that and, you know, just health in general, like, as I did have some like health issues earlier in my life and I was sort of ended up just trying to figure out what was going on with my body, you know. So I was kind of interested and, I did learn a method of juice fasting. So, but I thought I'll never need that. Why would I want to, you know, stop eating? Like it sounds extreme. Do you know what I mean? So I just come across this method and I just studied it because I like that's the way I've always been. I have to know. I'm obsessed with figuring out how stuff works.
Yeah.
You know, so I was kind of like, why does it work? Why would people do this? There must be something to it if people have talked about it, you know? So yeah, I'd kind of known about it. And then there was a point where, my health took a bit of a turn and I thought, I'm going to have to do this, you know? So there was a moment.
Were you getting like sick or flu or something like that?
Yeah, like I had,
immune system?
It was like allergies basically, you know, like allergies, eczema and asthma. They're kind of like a triangle. Like if you've got one, then you might have the other or all three.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I had asthma as a kid, and then I think just as I got older, I figured out, you know, and a lot of people have wheat problems, dairy problems. It was like that, but it started out as like a mild thing and it just got extreme, you know, it got worse and worse and worse to the point where I hadn't slept through the night for like a year and a half.
So, what?
So I was like waking up in the middle of the night and stuff. Anyway, like it doesn't sound that bad, but it can be quite frustrating to sort of not get your sleep and stuff.
Not
like
sleeping
that.
for a year and a half sounds terrible. That sucks.
Yeah. So, so yeah, got to that point, and I did change my diet. Like I saw a doctor who was like also like a naturopath, and he did Chinese medicine, stuff like that. So I changed my diet, and that helped, but it didn't sort of sort it out. And then during COVID, I was doing some construction. I had some construction going on at my house. Like I built this house, and there was like an open wall cavity. And so I was sleeping, and then I just like completely went red, you know, like my whole body just reacted. And I didn't have anything like serious where your windpipe's constricting or anything like that. But it was like really, really, it was, and I couldn't figure out what it was, you know, but it turned out later it was the insulation gas coming into my bedroom. So I was like breathing that in and reacting to it. So it was like.
Insulation gas?
Well, just like a natural gas from the insulation, I think.
Yeah, right.
Because it's supposed to be sealed, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I think it was, and that when I sorted that helped, right? But I thought, it's COVID, I'm stuck in my house, I'm going to try it. That was the moment. And it's not because I wanted to, it's because I had to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, I'm going to do it, you know, so... Yeah, so that was the moment I decided to, that's what got me there anyway.
Yeah, especially like in the middle of COVID where everyone's scared of like every type of pathogen out in the world and everyone's hiding anyway. I mean, it's a pretty good time. Like when do you have 40 days kind of without events on and seeing people and doing dinner and shit like that, where you can lock in and do something.
Like I was going out a little bit, but I had, you know, control of that environment. Yeah. Because I think it's important. Like it is quite hard to commit to doing something like that. It sounds really hard. So, you know, I was able to control my environment. I was able to make sure I finished all the food in my pantry, and you know, the people I was around, I could make sure I wasn't like I guess I didn't want to have food dragged in front of me all the time or being, you know, going out for dinner all the time and stuff. So I thought I'll just do this for 40 days it's going to be probably less than 40 days. I thought it would just be maximum of 40 days. Yeah.
Is 40 days some sort of golden rule? Like why did you pick that time? Is there a specific reason that it's that long? Yeah, I mean the method that I'd learned it sort of states that you have one day of fasting for every year of your life up to 40. So it's basically to clean your house, clean your body out, press reset, and you shouldn't need more than 40 days. So if you're 50 or 60, you just go to 40. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. So it's just like you're probably overdoing it. You're going to be like a monk or something if you keep going. Past that. But, Yeah, right. So what does this juice fast consist of? Like what were you eating or not eating? Yeah, so it's obviously fruit and vegetable juice. Then
I mean, there's a few different juice fasts out there. You know, the one that I came across, it was carrot, apple, beetroot, and a bit of lemon and a bit of ginger, right? So that's basically it. But you can't just start having juice. You know, you need to transition into it. So yeah, what I did was I had made vegetable soup and had that for 3 days. And that sort of gets your stomach used to, your body used to solid food, you know, into juice. You've got like sort of soft food, really soft food, and then into juice. So that sort of helps you, because I think your body gets used to whatever happened, you know, just gets used to whatever it's used to. So
yeah, like does your body freak out if you just make that transition immediately?
Yeah, I mean, you get hungry. Your body's used to, it's like, hey, where's that food from the other day? Where is it? I'm waiting for it. You know, that's what your body's like. It's just expecting whatever happened yesterday.
Did you have to lock all of your food?
I just finished it. I ate all the food in my house.
So you just didn't just stop going to the shops, basically, for anything other than vegetables.
I just said I'm going to finish it, and then I'm going to make the soup, you know, just vegetable soup, and just have that. So whenever I was hungry, I would just have the soup.
Yeah.
Didn't give up coffee. I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Don't want to pile it on too much. Yeah. So
did you give up coffee at any point?
Nah.
So you just
did coffee all the way through.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you transition from soup to vegetable juice, or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, and you do. You know, for me, I did feel quite. You know, you feel hungry. You kind of like, I need to eat something, and then I did have that realization that I was eating to feel good a little bit. Part of me was like that, like, because you're kind of getting that hit.
Yeah.
You know. So I did realize that I had that. I was waiting for some food. My body was waiting for it, and so I just did other things I enjoyed instead. Sort of like switch that out with something else. You know, whether it's like training or walking my dog or just something else that I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, did the 3 days and then straight into the juice with just like one of those Breville juices, you know, that you just chuck the whole thing in, where you wash everything, chuck the whole thing in.
So is there a limit of how much juice you're allowed, or you can have as much juice as you want on a daily basis?
I don't think there is a limit. I don't know. I just made it whenever I wanted to have it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a meal replacement in a way. So it was just whenever I felt like it. So just make more. I was just constantly making juice, cleaning up, drinking, making more juice, cleaning up. And so, yeah, it's funny because you have this expectation, like, it was quite exciting. It's like an experiment. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you kind of have this expectation of what's going to happen as well. You sort of think, I'm going to be starving, you know, or this is going to be miserable. The juice is going to taste terrible. You know?
Yeah.
You kind of think, you don't know, but you kind of have this idea
of
what it's going to be like. I'm going to feel weak, you know. I thought I was going to be tired, you know. So it was I was excited to sort of try it. There must be something wrong with me, you know.
Well, I mean, if you're dealing with like a few ailments that are really getting to you, like you're getting pretty sick, it makes sense why.
Yeah.
It gives you hope on the horizon, right? It's like there's potentially a solution to what's going on.
Yeah.
Because were you trying like different medications and things like that to sort stuff out?
Yep. So I went, the doctors, they for eczema, they prescribe titanium dioxide in cream form, steroid cream. Yeah, steroid cream, but that's not a solution. I mean, it didn't resolve the problem, but they told me that, they said this will help you in the short term, but there was no kind of long-term thing.
Yeah. So it can alleviate it for a small amount of time.
Yeah.
Because do you know what was causing any of this stuff other than the external? Like, do you know what was happening on the inside? Or
what I think happened was I had a lot of questionable fast food growing up and a lot of heavy wheat diet and a lot of milk.
Milk.
Yeah. Like cow's milk, and I had a lot of wheat, and I think it's the pesticides in the wheat that my body basically just said, I've had too much, I've had enough. Yeah. But it's not an uncommon thing now.
It's definitely being talked about more, hey?
All the gluten-free products, it's really, I think, the wheat. For me, I thought it was the wheat, and so I just steered clear of the wheat. But I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was. And, I had the asthma, so I think I was just kind of prone to it in a way.
Because it can put your body in flight, like fight and flight response, right? Or something like that.
Yeah. I think everybody reacts differently to things like that. Like, I think I did put a bit of weight on, like I was like gaining weight, and like I was like, temperature issues, and different people, I know, sort of, I have a friend and he's got, stomach problems. A few from my friends have got stomach problems. But I didn't have that, I think it may be the same thing, it may be weight gain as well. I think everybody's, your body's trying to handle something it doesn't know what to do with. Yeah. That's what I think. Yeah.
Just like excess.
Yeah, and it's trying to deal with it. So it'll deal with it how it deals with it with whatever else is going on in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after how many days did you start, like did serious hunger start kicking in?
Oh, it was the first
like
3 days.
What did it feel like?
Yeah. Well, it did feel hungry at the beginning. And I think I probably noticed the biggest difference after like 2.5, 3 weeks. Because I was just doing it. I'll probably just talk about the process. So there's the juicing, but then as you're not eating, your body's slimming down. So you're dropping fat and muscle as well.
Yeah.
So my body was shrinking, and so I think over the years, you have toxins in your body, and this process is to get rid of those toxins. And if you can imagine like a sponge full of water, if you squeeze that sponge and it's smaller, the water has to come out. It'll come out if it'll come out through your skin, come out through your bladder, the top of your head. Anyway, it can get out. Like your body's gonna shrink. There's going to be you detox that way. So to support that, it can be painful if your skin is if you've got skin issues or whatever. So you can have a salt bath, which helps draw out those toxins. So I was having like 2 or 3 salt baths a day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with the juice, and that was really also to alleviate pain as well.
Oh, so your skin was really firing up.
Yeah. So it was like after 15 minutes, it was fine. So I would do that, but you've got to make sure you're hydrated too. So the juice, and if you don't have enough juice, I just have water. So I'm making sure that.
So you're allowed to drink water. You were drinking water throughout this.
I did drink a bit of water, but I prefer to have the juice. But it's like to get to some point where you're going constantly to the organic fruit and veg place. And you're just buying apples, you're buying carrots.
They're like, who is this guy?
Yeah, and the girl behind the desk is just kind of looking at me, and I could tell like she's like thinking like, what is this guy doing? But yeah, so I mean, if I didn't feel like going, I'd make sure I was hydrated. Because I think as your body shrinks and, you're getting toxins and that dumped into your bloodstream, you've got your lymphatic system, which is like a garbage collection, and you need water, you need liquids going through to support that, to carry away to your lymph nodes or whatever to process.
Yeah.
So you're basically detoxifying and the juice, the vitamins and minerals in the juice is, helping you heal. So your body's taking a break from digesting and using that energy to heal. Yeah. So that's the process, and that's kind of why I think. And then, getting some sunshine as well, because like you need vitamin D to support healing as well.
So it's like giving your body the opportunity to just start doing what it's meant to be doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's always trying to heal, but you're just giving it all sorts of other stuff to deal with, Constantly digesting, constantly being preoccupied. I think digestion takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have a big meal and you're just like,
yeah,
like it takes a lot of energy. So that's kind of what I did the whole day. So anyway, did that rinse and repeat, you know, every day. And a couple of things that I experienced shocked me. One was I was not hungry. Like I was hungry at the beginning when I was transitioning in, but I was not hungry. I wasn't even interested, right?
Really?
I wasn't interested in food. But that, you know, I wasn't, you know, surrounding myself with, you know, people eating steaks and, you know, or whatever fresh bread being baked. Like I didn't have that, but I didn't feel hungry. It was a strange thing. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one thing which surprised me.
It's pretty wild. I don't know how long I've gone without eating much. Not that long. Like I've heard stories of, I've got a mutual friend, you know, Dave Davenport. He used to run sweat lodges and out at our house when I was young. And he said that some people who came to the sweat lodges, similar kind of thing in what you're talking about, if you had extra body fat on you, that whenever you put that fat on, it stores toxins. So different chemicals or different toxins that you were exposed to at the same time where you were creating that fat, it basically gets stored in the fat cells.
Yeah.
And it hibernates. And then people go into these sweat lodges, and over the space of, I don't know how long they run these for, but I think it's quite a long, it's not like going in a sauna. Like they're in these tents like all night.
Right.
Drinking, I think they are drinking water, but they're sweating heaps and they're burning heaps of fat.
Yeah, right.
They're burning heaps of fat. And he said people like fully freak out. And some people have a really, really hard time because of all the different toxins that are being expelled whilst you're going through that. And I think he said particularly people who have smoked a lot of weed, a lot of cannabis, and at a similar time to putting on lots of weight, lots of that gets stored in your fat cells.
Yeah.
So then when you're exuding all of it, you get like ridiculously high. You get really, really, really high, and that can like trip people out quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I think it's a real thing. I think
that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
it does, because I think it can. I mean, I agree that you do store, your body stores toxins or whatever in your fat and your flesh, and then that's got to go somewhere, and it's got to get rid of it so it can go out the skin or into the bloodstream.
Yeah,
because if they weren't eating as well, were they eating?
I don't think they. I haven't
that
done.
Sounds hardcore, but so
I haven't done a sweat lodge before. It's on the bucket list of things to do, just to see what's up.
Yeah,
but
that sounds similar, because that's what the salt bath was for me. It was just drawing it out, but to reduce pain if it was painful, I guess. Did symptom? I'll get you to just keep that close to you no, all good. Just so I capture your lovely voice. Whilst you're going through it, did your symptoms get worse? Like you said, your skin was getting worse. Did everything get worse? I was kind of expecting it to get worse before it got better.
Yeah,
and I think it did. Because I had some different symptoms over time, and they went away, and then they kind of came back. It felt like they came back and then went away. So in some ways it did, but it was really important, I thought, to stay hydrated and just support the detoxification. Because I think if you don't do that, it can be really painful. And if you're losing a lot of weight too fast, that can be really sort of dangerous, I reckon. You kind of want to do it slowly. Because your body, all that stuff is accumulated over the years. That's gonna, you don't want to do it fast. If you losing a lot of weight, I think I would do it much slower, and I probably just wouldn't try juice fasting. I would just do it something else, a different fast. Yeah.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah.
Do it slower than what you did it?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep. better to be cautious.
Yeah.
I guess just from what I understand, going through that and how I understand it all works, I would definitely recommend.
Yeah.
I'm not recommending this to anyone. Do not do this at home. But like, I think, it's about educating yourself and then take action. And then if it feels right, then this could be something you do. Yeah.
Well, it's I don't know too much about it. I know have you watched Alone? Have you watched the show Alone?
I can't remember.
It's a show where a bunch of contestants go out into the jungle by themselves and they've got to build a hut and just stay alive for as long as they can.
Yep. I've heard about it. Actually.
Yeah. It's a pretty good show. You probably like it. But some of them stay there for like 3 months, like 90, 100 days. But people can't catch food, right? They're trying to fish and they can't catch anything, and they're eating like leaves and, shit they can find on the ground, but it's not enough. And they'll be dropping weight rapidly and they have to get medical checked because, like you said, they're losing fat, but they're also losing muscle. And at some point you start losing like your heart's a muscle and like your body starts eating your vital organs essentially. And that's where shit can start to get pretty dangerous. But I feel like if you're on a juice fast, that wouldn't happen for such a long time when you see what these people go through.
Yeah. The same as sort of Naked and Afraid or Survivor.
Yeah.
They're like
same shit.
Yeah. It's fascinating how it sort of changes you. But like the juice, for me, I mean, it was a really good tasting juice. And one of the other things that surprised me was that my sense of smell and taste just was dialed up to 11.
Really?
So I could just smell anything. Like kind of like my dog, like he could smell it. Like I could smell and taste, and it was just like dialed up. So it kind of that was kind of a surprise as well, and that was cool. And then I had lots of energy. So I noticed this by like the 3rd week. I just had so much energy that I was working all day. Not getting tired in the late afternoon or anything. I was just like playing through everything. And I felt like happy, positive. I felt almost like this is what it could be like to be enlightened. That's how it felt.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And it shocked me. I was like, I'm shocked, like how good this is, The juice tasted great, and but I was still like I was going to keep going until I'd completely dealt with it. I was determined, So those were some really interesting things that I did not expect, but it was great. It was really enjoyable, and I didn't really want to stop, to be honest.
Really?
I could have just kept going.
Has it changed the way that you eat from that moment?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I try to eat well for sure, and I had a lot of garbage food when I was a kid, so I definitely, I'd say so for sure.
So how much weight did you lose?
I went from 88 to 67. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I did look like unwell, I suppose, like in terms of my, I just was skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
did you look unwell, or did you just look like skinny and ready to go?
I think like I lost some fat in my face,
Yeah.
And that's probably the worst bit. But I was like super shredded. Like I was just extra shredded. I was like, yes, like
get the 6-pack out.
Yeah. Like honestly, like yeah. So it was a surprising thing. Like in a way, like that's expected to happen. That you lose weight.
Yeah.
But so my skin was clearing up, and it just looked like it was glowing. Yeah, so I kept going 3 weeks. So that was the thing. Those were the things I noticed after about 3 weeks. But I was going to keep going until, I'd actually gotten rid of, this allergic reaction that I was getting.
So you had a feeling like you could cure or solve or get this thing out of you.
I was hopeful. I didn't know if it would, work or not.
Yeah.
Because people talk about fasting and, but you don't know until, you try it. It's not something that, you sort of think, yeah, but I hadn't heard of too many people doing it for that long, but I was just going to do it until it worked.
Yeah.
So, and then I did cheat one day and I had a meal with some friends and stuff like that. I thought I'm going to enjoy this, I just sort of thought I should at the time. And then I just went straight back and had sore stomach and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why you got to ease into it and ease out of it. You get a sore stomach.
So if you finish it after like 40 days and you just go straight to Macca's and that'll kill you.
You will not be happy if you do that. You'll be kind of happy when you're eating it. But I honestly didn't want to stop. I wasn't hungry. I didn't want to stop. So, but I thought once I achieved my goal, I thought after 40, so it's interesting that it was 40 days that theoretically you go to 40 days. But I had the meal, and that I think shifted it to 43.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you need a few more to kind of hit the same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what I figure, And the other thing was I did the colonic irrigation.
Oh yeah.
I thought I'm going to all this effort. I'm going to have to do that in case there's like some stuff in my gut, that's been there for years or something. I'm going to do it because I think it's a good time to do it if you're just juicing and stuff.
Yeah.
So I went and did that as well.
Oh, you like went to an actual place to go do it?
Yep.
Did they find any like parasites or anything like that?
I don't know if you know how it works. That kind of you see everything going past in a tube.
I haven't done it, but I've seen videos of it of what it looks like.
Yeah.
That it scares me, I'll be honest, doing something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta step out of your comfort zone sometimes. Yeah, but obviously with the beetroot, it's just purple,
Yeah.
So did that and then came out of it after I just one day just everything finished clearing up, and I was just kind of waiting for that moment, and then
so your like your skin and everything.
Yep, my skin was flawless. Yep.
Really?
Yep. And I hadn't had that for I'd been dealing with it for like 12 years at least. Yeah.
That's wild. That is wild.
Yeah. So
did that permanently fix your skin? Doing that?
Yeah, it did. And I was able to have wheat and milk afterwards. But I did realize that I hadn't completely dealt with that reaction that my body had. So I can have it, so I have it when it's going to be good, if it's like some fresh bread out of the sourdough of the oven or something. But like I don't have it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can at least have it. Do you know what I mean? Because
you couldn't have it at all. It would
there
just
was a
mess
state
you up.
I'd have it and I would just be in agony, Yeah.
Whoa.
So that surprised me, but it was a real fun sort of experiment to do, and I was just constantly checking my intuition. Is this going to kill me, or is this good, and it just felt good. The whole time.
So just trusting the process along the way.
Yeah.
Did you like go get blood work done or go to a doctor or anything like that?
Blood work. I hadn't. I've had my bloods checked before, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't do it. COVID, it was just hard time to sort of organise all that stuff.
So you're just raw dogging it, just going for it.
Yeah. So
that's pretty crazy, man. That you can, I've listened to a lot of people talk about fasting in different ways, and in one way it does feel like a trend. Like sometimes it's trendy, sometimes it's not. Sometimes people have great things to say for it, but it's always intermittent fasting or fasting for 2 or 3 days. I feel like sometimes it gets a bad rap because people do like dry fasting. Have you
I've heard of dry fasting, but I don't really know how that. I haven't got my head around that.
I don't know the science of it, so I'm going to get this wrong. But this is I heard someone explain this, and I was like, "Fuck! I wish I understood more science to see if this makes sense." But essentially, it works better if you've got fat on your body, but somehow the fat molecules or something like that get split, and then there's
your body produces the
your
water?
your body produces the water, so you don't need to to drink water whilst you're doing it. But I don't know, like I've heard people like die from doing that as well. So I don't know if dry fasting is advisable.
I wonder what situations that would be useful for, like when would you do it as opposed to some other kind of
That's true, yeah. As opposed to doing it except with drinking water. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I've never heard anyone doing fasting for that long. I guess juice fasting isn't fully fasting. It's not like you're not eating anything at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've never heard anyone doing it for that long. But is it called autophagy? Is that the process that it is?
It's a big word, man. I have no idea.
Yeah. We'll Google it. I think autophagy is the process of what your body goes through in terms of restoration when it's not in rest and digest.
Yeah.
So that's the cell repair process that it is.
It did kind of feel like I was pressing reset, my body, like, like if I was cloned and they cloned me and this clone had like perfect diet, and I felt like I went back to my, what my body was supposed to be before I'd abused it or something, whatever happened. I feel like it was just pressing reset, and it was just allowing me to go back, my body to repair and just clean out all the stuff. And I kind of felt like it was kind of designed into the human body. Like it was like it's a mechanism that it's designed. I mean, all of the body's processes were working together. So it kind of felt like it was part of the human experience, some way that you can refer to from time to time. But it's not something you need to do all the time. I think I just did it once. I just did it that one time.
Would you do something like this again, or you don't feel like you need to?
Probably do a shorter one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tempting. It makes me want to do something that.
It's not easy. I think you need to be surrounded by, have your environment set up for it too, so that you're going to succeed.
Yeah.
Tempted to start, get in there, and then, I think kind of need to, it's just a month of your life. It's not that long.
40 days.
Well, it's more than a month. Yeah, month and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like you'd have to be pretty organised, especially if you're going somewhere to work and you carry around juice with you, I guess, and just go for it, really. But yeah, I feel like with all of those things, it's the organisation. We don't often have a time to just black out everything else and just focus on it. Were you like exercising? Were you working out?
No.
In the middle of this? No.
I did zero exercise. I just walked my dog once or twice a day. That was what we were allowed to do back then, walk our dog within the 5 kilometre zone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't work out. So that kind of shocked me too, that I was happy with the state of my body, but doing no exercise. But, I do go to the gym, and I do definitely, you get a similar good feeling in your body from doing that. So I think you could, because I definitely had energy and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to overexert myself and not I just wanted to follow that process and not change it too much.
Well, I guess you wouldn't be wanting to use too much energy on muscle repair, right? Because it's like the whole point is your body is trying to go to work and using the energy that it has to repair.
Yeah.
Everything else in your body. That's the way it sounds to me. Like it makes sense. Like this is kind of what a lot of these like cancer, I don't know the right terminology for this, but like cancer, holistic cancer treatment centers work on, right? Like I've heard of like places in Mexico that do essentially some sort of juice fasting protocol to try and heal people with like late stage cancers and things like that. Let the body do the healing.
I've heard of that too. Yeah.
But I don't know how much success people get out of it.
With sort of serious conditions.
I guess there comes a point where it's like potentially too late, but I don't know. I would like to think that if I was going to go down that path, or if I got cancer, that I would try something like that straight away to just see if that would work. You know, because it sounds like it's pretty powerful stuff. I've got a lot of belief in the human body in that sense. You know, just the power to repair itself.
Yeah, definitely can't vouch for healing cancer or anything.
Mark said it here. He 100% guarantee.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it would be. I wouldn't be surprised if it could help, you know, in early stages. But well, I guess maybe someone will talk about it. I suppose probably people are talking about it if they are.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard. It's so hard with Western medicine in a lot of ways because I don't know. You hear someone talk about juice fasting and cancer, and people are like, "You're fucking crazy! Like, why would that work?" There's still a pretty big pushback against holistic or like natural sort of therapies in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Western medicine's definitely amazing for certain things. Like they have lots of tests and for identifying problems and, you know, and like surgeries, you know, when someone's in a car accident, you know, they can sort of put you back together.
Yeah.
You know, that's amazing, you know. But yeah, it's tough when there's like money to be made, you know, you're weighing up making money and it's a business, you know. So sometimes I guess, yeah, if you keep coming back to get a temporary fix, that's, that makes more money than curing something straight away, I guess.
Well, I guess that's the pharmaceutical side of things, right? Like it's pretty hard to deny, like when you've seen people go through like major surgeries and things like that, it's
great.
It's
phenomenal.
It's fucking crazy. Yeah. It's really, really impressive, and some ground up herbs ain't gonna do it for situations like that. So the surgical side of things is wild. And I think that's a really incredible part of Western medicine in a lot of ways, but I don't know, when it comes to the pharmaceutical side of things, that's where it gets a little bit debatable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty wild, man. So you haven't had to go back and get on medication or anything like that for any of your symptoms?
No.
Nothing.
No. I'm not saying I'm in like perfect health, but that I was surprised that I could just go back and have wheat and that it dealt with that problem that I had. Yeah. So.
I want to try it, but I've been putting so much effort into eating bread and eating pasta and putting the
food is good.
Putting the meat on. So at some point when I'm willing to give that up, then I'll have to then I'll have to hit the fast button.
Yeah.
I would like to do it. I would like to see what that feels like.
I think it's that, like I said before, it's just if you really need to do it, you do it. You know, if you don't need to do it, you probably won't do it.
Yeah, like your body's telling you like, shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like spiritual practices or meditative practice that you do? Like I know you've done martial arts your whole life, essentially. When did you start doing martial arts?
When I was at high school. Yeah, so I did. I started, you know, when I was a kid, I just kind of saw my Japanese teacher was teaching Aikido. So I thought, I want to try something. I want to try that. So I just dove into that, you know, when I was at high school. Yeah, so I was from quite a young age. Yeah.
So you've been doing it a long time. That was wild, man, the other day when you were telling me about your time in Japan. That's such a weird experience, being 18 years old and working at a Japanese theme park.
Yeah. Yeah, I was lucky. I mean, I got my brother and I, we both got the opportunity to go to Japan the same time. So we were both sort of over there, both studied Japanese, and, you know, like any like overseas trip when you're young is, you know, your first few trips, you remember it for the rest of your life, and it's such a different culture over there, you know. And yeah, I was sort of lucky that I had support, a support network. I had some friends who came with me and had, accommodation sorted, a job sorted, and so I was lucky enough to get a scholarship through the school, my high school.
How'd you get the job at the theme park?
Oh, well, they want you to talk to foreigners, so that was part of the whole deal, so I go over there and then, I can speak English to, some of the other visitors or whatever, but learnt some Japanese and went to and did some announcing on the teacup ride in Japanese. So I mean, it's I think it's a good time to go now. Like it's never been more affordable to go to Japan. I mean, it was insanely expensive when I was there. In Tokyo, it's, you go to a bar and you sit down, and if your drink is empty, some dude will come up to you and say, buy another drink or get out,
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they got to be spending money all the time.
They got to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty hectic.
Yeah, I mean the culture's so different, but I mean they're the politest people. They're so polite. I mean, in general, they're very, very polite. So it was a nice place to be.
Were you training whilst you were over there?
I did a little bit of training, but I took time out. Like I did go to Japan before that. I did a student exchange before that, I think when I was 16. And I did some Aikido over there, which was eye-opening. This is obviously different styles.
How so? Yeah.
Well, I don't know what style it was, but it was quite how do I describe? I mean, all the students were just in fear of their teacher. You could see it in their eyes; they were terrified. And then, so my teacher, I went with my teacher and another student, and we didn't really know what style it was, but had the 6 Dan teacher basically chasing me around the dojo for 2 hours or however long it was. It was just brutal. Like it was kind of like I think he was trying to teach me a lesson or something. So I was just like, I'm probably not going to do any training this time around. I'm just gonna just enjoy everything else about the culture.
So you've done Aikido for a long time. Like what do you get out of it? Like what does it give to you? Because I know it kind of doing martial arts in general, everybody's got a different reason for it, and they get different kind of value out of it. And like, what does it actually give you?
I just enjoy doing it, and I guess I had different phases in my life. Like, I had less confidence at the beginning, and then when I was, in my second black belt, second Dan black belt, then I sort of felt like I had some confidence, and I was starting to learn from a really good teacher, who that is. And I really felt like, it was a turning point. But I just enjoyed doing it.
Literally just like the physicality, the movement.
Yeah.
The movement of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's probably something I could keep doing for quite a long time. Looking after your knees, of course.
Yeah.
I think I could just keep doing it, until whatever age I grow old to be. I could just keep doing it without injuring myself, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like something that you can, assuming that you're doing it in the right way, that you could do for your whole entire life, basically, until you die, essentially.
Yeah.
Where some more percussive things like, going in and sparring every day and getting punched in the head from like 50 to 80, I can imagine it's pretty bad for you. Well, it's probably not that good for you, I don't think.
50 to 80.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not good for you when you're young, getting hit in the face or getting hit in the head, but you're definitely more robust, like your body and your brain can handle probably a lot more. But in terms of training, turning into this, like training in the second half of your life, which is a consideration for a lot of people that have done martial arts their whole life, like you want to keep doing it. And it's I feel like a lot of the reasons that I'll be doing it when I'm older isn't for probably the reasons that I'm doing it now. I'll be getting different things out of it. So you want it to be something that is a whole, like something that's improving your life and improving your health.
Yeah.
All around, like good fitness, good mobility, good flexibility, good for your heart. It's still a complex enough art that it keeps you thinking. It's got a philosophical or a spiritual side to it, which it's not just for this. It's a lot of martial arts or kind of anything that someone gets really obsessed with, you can do. But I don't know, some things like doing kickboxing, like I don't see any 70-year-olds in doing kickboxing as much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the Japanese the culture that you learn, the ways of the Japanese and I guess the warriors from that age. And I've been lucky enough to train with some amazing like Japanese senseis, in New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah.
And I like that I'm learning something from another culture, that you could go to Japan, somewhere that's like completely different and just fit in and know the etiquette. And that there's, that I guess the art of war, the different strategies for war that you can kind of learn, you could expand into those different strategies, like long distance and, all the war strategies. I think I would like to explore those things later in life, like what they did in Japan.
In terms of just like your learning, like your understanding of those things. Yeah. Or like build that into like your actual practice.
Yeah, I would like to sort of build it into practice for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I think, like protecting your family or taking on multiple attackers or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Those situations, you just come against different situations in a war situation. I'm thinking of like a Japanese war in the woods or something. They got bows and arrows for long distance and the swords and everything like that, the katanas, yeah. So yeah, I just think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
The way that they lived and yeah, there's so much to learn. Yeah.
Well, when you're living on your massive ranch in the
one day
in the mountains in New Zealand, you can post up in the bush and have the katanas and have the bow and arrows.
I should be working on that now.
Have you done archery before?
No.
Oh man.
Have you?
Yeah, well we did it. We did it a lot out at Christmas Hills. Yeah. Which was fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I've never had to really go out and do it in a warlike setting before, so I can imagine that'd be difficult to say the least. It's pretty wild. I don't know how people were doing it like on horseback.
Yeah.
With bows. Like that's pretty, I don't know. Even just the thought, like when you look through all of like the history with all of these different samurai, like imagine actually being geared up with armor on, with a sword in your hand, just running straight into battle, Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
It is.
To think about it in this day and age where we live, it's such a safe place. We're probably not going to be in that situation, or at least for a few years until shit gets crazier.
The sword sharpened case.
Yeah, but I can't imagine actually having to be in that position. It's a completely different world.
It is a different world, but I guess sort of we still have those behaviors built into us, survival, like some of those behaviors, I think, came from those times, that we've been, just surviving life, hunting or whatever. We've still got all those behaviors inside of us, it feels like.
It's hard to know. I feel like it's a latent kind of dream for a lot of men out there, just wanting to know. And I guess it's like the naked and afraid thing, or the alone thing, just that part of you that wants to know how you do.
Yeah.
Out in the wild.
Obviously, we don't have the same skills as the samurai, right? But I guess, we don't have those skills. But you would see how that would be, useful. You'd have to learn it, out of necessity. So
you've had the dream of just like going bush and seeing how you go, how long you last. Has that ever been some sort of
I've thought about it. I've thought about what would happen. Yeah. But I haven't sort of had a goal to do that.
Yeah. I know you were talking.
Never say never.
It might happen. I know you were talking about like homestead and that kind of thing. When you think about if like you're building a property, do you like the idea of being off grid, or you're happy with being connected to the grid?
Yeah, I think as you get older, you kind of, well, for me, like I think the simple things became more important. So I think I probably would love to do that. Yeah, but you can say that, but like there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah,
right. So it's not, you can't just say I'd love to live on a ranch like Yellowstone or something, and like there's just a lot of work to be done. And if you love doing that work and you've got sort of people to help, family that want to help, that you kind of need to, or be a group to sort of do all that work. It's a lot of work, I imagine. So it's a great idea, and it's just like any great idea, it's the actual implementation or getting it done, setting it up. That's like the important part.
Yeah, I mean, I think it must take so much knowledge in that sense, because proper off-grid living is your job, right? Like it's a full-time job staying alive, and you're not working. Like you're just working on your property, trying to keep it at a level to stay alive. I love the idea of that. I love the idea of that so much, like that feeling of not necessarily disconnecting from society. It's not about that, but having that real feeling of independence in a sense, like you're really only relying on you and nature.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I'm very thankful to have a job, and I'm very thankful to be given money for services and things that I do. But, there's that thought of, and we saw it in lockdowns, that can get taken away really quickly, and your security in that sense can get taken away by the discretion of another person. Yeah, which
it's about, you're vulnerable at the same time.
Yeah,
so, yeah. It's like a full-time job to make sure you're prepared.
Exactly. Yeah, which is a hard one to think about, because like the counter argument to that is, well, fuck, if you're living off grid, probably the chances of you, like the vulnerability of living off grid is probably way higher than the vulnerability of, in this society right now, of losing your job and not being able to get another one and being like totally left in the shit when you can't pay your water bills and your electricity bills or your rent, and then you're out on your ass. Like that isn't as much of a real thing right now, as opposed to probably the vulnerability that you would feel if you're actually living off grid and trying to stay alive. But then on the flip side, the feeling of living off grid and being fully independent, creating your own power, creating your own food, and harvesting your own water so you can stay alive, in a sense, that feels so secure. Like only nature can take that away from you, but not like people.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot going on in the world. There's people that are doing that to
for sure,
escape whatever situation they're in
For sure. I mean, I would
relying on each other, relying on other people to help build a community.
For sure. I would love to know what percentage of the world lives without being connected to like mains, like a power grid or like a main water source, essentially. It's probably huge, right? It's got to be.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of properties that have, they have water tank, they have sewage tank, they have, satellite internet, they've got solar panels, backup generator. So,
I mean, it's a lot easier now, that's for sure. When you've got something like Starlink, where you can just set that up wherever you are, you don't need to be connected.
Yeah. I think I definitely want to still be connected to, I don't want to be completely, isolated,
Yeah.
Even with the internet.
Yeah. Don't take the internet away from me. Don't take that away. Dude, I saw the craziest. This is a bit of a sidetrack, but if you've seen this, you can order sunlight now. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I did see that.
Oh, you have seen this?
I think that they're working on it or something.
Is that real? So yeah, what I saw was there's a company that has taken helium balloons up to like the stratosphere or somewhere really, really high to a point that when it's dark here, they're up high enough that they can catch the sun. They can get up high enough that they can catch the sun from the other side of the earth. And then on these balloons, they can turn it around and they can turn this mirror around and essentially aim sunlight from the other side of the planet down to where you are. And now they're working on putting satellites up there with giant mirrors on them. So on your app, you can order some sunlight at like midnight, and they'll just direct it like on your property.
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I can't imagine like the balloons up there. Possible. It's like kind of like taking the air currents around. It's like sort of like I'm like, how is this going to be still enough to? It'd be wonky. It'd be like a spotlight. You kind of trying to stay in.
Yeah, well, it's gotten up to the point where there's no air, so it's not getting pushed around or something. I don't really know. It's one of those things that it might not be real, but at the same time, I feel like over the past 5 or 6 years, I've seen so many stupid videos on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and all that shit exists now. Things that I saw 5 years ago that I was like, no way, that's a thing. It fully exists now, so I'm staying tuned for sunlight.
Well, I have heard as well about solar energy being captured in space and being beamed down to Earth.
What?
That's also something their company claims they can do or they're working on. So there's a lot going on in space apparently.
So they can put like solar panels up there or something like that, or shoot sun down to the solar panels.
I think it's like solar panel. It's meant to be solar panels up in space, so the atmosphere, I guess, doesn't absorb as much of the sun. There's more captured, and then beamed down.
Whoa, that's pretty wild.
I'm kind of interested in those things. I always want to know how it all works. I mean, maintenance in space has got to be expensive. That's the only thing I'm thinking.
I'm waiting for the next crypto to come out on sun. On ordering sun. I'm buying that. I'm buying that crypto first. It's gonna blow up.
It'll be Elon Musk, probably one of his ones.
For sure. So I know in a few of our conversations, man, that we've actually had over the past, few years, which I really like our routine. Actually, it's become a good one. Being able to see you for an evening and do some training whenever you get yourself over to Melbourne. Are you going to keep doing that? Are you going to keep coming over to Melbourne, or is there a point where you just stop coming?
I hope so. Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, we'll keep doing it then.
Yep.
But we have had a few conversations, and I know these are hard to talk about sometimes, but you have mentioned that you're a spiritual person. Do you have spiritual practices that you follow, or some sort of internal work that you do on a regular sort of basis about how you think about yourself and analyze your life? Like, do you meditate? Do you do something?
I think the thing that I do the most is keep my body in high vibration mode. So, and I think I do, I don't sit down to meditate, but I just end up meditating at different times. I just change states. I notice I've just done that just throughout the day if I'm walking somewhere or driving. But I think I just focus on keeping a good high vibration, like in terms of being happy and, well, being grateful. That's being grateful helps me, stay in a good mood. So I think, just counting all the things I'm grateful for, and that makes me feel good. And I just think keeping your vibration high is kind of what we all need to do.
Because you've always seemed like it's a good way to put it, had a high vibration or something like that. Like you always, and it's not like we see each other often, so I don't see on potentially the shit days or the real hard times for you. But since I've met you, you've always had a pretty consistent type of demeanor. Like you've always seemed pretty sweet, pretty good in a lot of ways, which I don't come across that with most people that I meet. We're all we're turbulent creatures with crazy lives where things are constantly going wrong, and then things are going good, and we're hoping for something, and then we're achieving it, and then we're losing something, and it's life can be difficult in that sense. You can get thrown around by it, but you seem to be quite stable in that sense.
The stuff goes wrong for sure. Yeah.
What?
I mean, life doesn't always go, the way you plan. You think, you think you're in control of your life, and you might make a goal, but how you get there is not under your control, necessarily. Like there's certain things you can do, I think I just try to be happy as I can, but definitely not everything goes my way. Do you know what I mean? So,
are you able to speak to how you change your internal state? Because I'm super interested in how people change internal states, because it's so elusive.
Yeah, I did do this course when I was in New Zealand. I was a kid, and I was sort of talking about weeding, like your mind is a garden, and you've got to weed the garden, which is getting rid of the negative thoughts or the things that you sort of spin around on a cassette tape in your head that are kind of not good, negative or whatever. So I think that was there was a point where I identified some things that I was saying to myself, and I stopped. I just managed to stop it. And that made a difference, because it enabled me to quiet my mind, and then I could just be, silent, and that helped. That helped me, I think, just looking for things that you're saying to yourself and stopping them. Yeah, that was a point I remember.
When you were young?
Don't remember when. It's a long time ago. But I just remember doing something. It was like a group thing.
Yeah, right.
Because I think, quietening your mind will help, definitely. And then, then you also don't judge people. When you meet someone, there's just nothing. You're not saying anything about, who they are, or what they've done, or their appearance or anything. There's just like no judgment.
Yeah. Because it's hard, right? Because that internal dialogue, the internal dialogue that sometimes is uncontrollable.
That's the word I was looking for, internal dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes uncontrollable, right? Like you said it perfectly, because sometimes these it's hard to identify in like simple day-to-day scenarios, but you're right. Like you meet someone and all you want to do is just be like, hey, how's it going? And listen to how they are. But you have an internal dialogue that's judging and making up decisions and then making up comparisons and then putting yourself against them and this whole fucking story that seems to be happening. And that's just in like a really simple scenario, let alone when it's something bad's happened or you're struggling more in a difficult situation in life. And there's just that mental dialogue that is unstoppable.
Yeah, I think we kind of, I don't know, as society, you end up with a lot of that sort of thing going on in your head and just like identifying it. Yeah.
Can you hear it as like not an out loud thing, but like, do you hear, I've heard that some people have an internal dialogue, some people don't. Yeah. Some people have a feeling, some people don't.
Yeah.
Do you have
kind of like a thought. It's just like a thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
like with words.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you stop it? Tell me the secret.
First. So you identify that you're doing it.
So you notice
you just go around saying stuff and that's those thoughts coming out your mouth. So I think it's just identifying it first and catching it. Say, I'm going to stop doing that. Yeah.
That stuff isn't really taught in schools, hey?
Yeah, I mean, you asked sort of about spirituality, but I mean, I don't see stuff. I don't see auras and all that sort of stuff, but I just get a feeling,
Yeah.
Different, I've met people that have, quite vivid experiences, but.
Do you believe in that?
Well, you see it enough times in your life. You sort of think, there's probably something to that. If you don't experience, I mean, it's hard to convince someone to believe something if they don't experience it themselves. You know? So I'm not trying to convince anybody of what to believe, but I think people, they experience things differently. Yeah.
I've never experienced auras, seeing auras on people in a sober state.
Actually, I have.
You have?
Well, no, I do. I think when I was doing the fasting, excuse me.
That'll make you see some shit for sure.
I think just like I see swirling colours when I close my eyes. And even just images and stuff. Yeah, I forget that I did have that a few times, but I can't really make heads or tails of it.
Yeah. It's interesting with these things because it's from my perspective when it comes to understanding that internal dialogue or having some sort of internal way to understand the inner workings of your own mind. However that is, it doesn't need to be meditation or some formalized practice or something, but just some sort of introspection. Maybe it is. I don't work in schools, so I don't know. But I feel like that stuff is not taught enough to kids.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful, like the whole, breathing, controlling your breathing.
Yeah.
And if something, bad happens to you, or you don't know if it's good or bad until afterwards. So don't panic, and just breathe slowly. I think, learning to just control your breathing, which is, how you can sort of slow your mind, down and relax. So controlling your breathing, that would be good to sort of learn some like basic meditation where you just breathe in and breathe out and focus on one thing. I think just doing a little bit of that would help people with anxiety and things like that. I don't know about this whole anxiety epidemic we've got now, but I think it would be a good start.
Yeah. Do you think that more people are experiencing anxiety now, or it's just got more of a label at the moment, so more people are realizing it, or there's just more news about it essentially? Like, do you think that people are actually in more of an anxious state in this current day?
I think so.
You do?
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be interesting if we can find out what's causing it.
Do you have any ideas of?
I think the state of your body might have something to do with it.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate, but I mean, I think
it's what we're here for. That is exactly why we're here.
Yeah. I think, if you look after your body, that would go a long way. But I mean, I know people that have got anxiety, and it just stops them in their tracks.
Yeah, it's clearly a thing that does really debilitate people, whether I know there's a lot of people who think that anxiety isn't real, or, and lots of people who do think it is extremely real, like it's the realest thing ever. And I feel I'm in the middle of that somewhere. Like to an extent, it is a physical feeling. To an extent, it's I don't know, part of me does believe that the more that you do believe in it, the worse it can get you, that kind of thing. And maybe the less you believe in anxiety, the less anxious you might be. But at the same time, I've definitely experienced times where I've been really fucking anxious and haven't been able to control it at the same time. So I don't know what causes it, but definitely having no tools to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
To be able to at least stop it, that's where it's hard.
Yeah, it's a real mystery. I would love to know why there's so much anxiety. There'll be experts out there that would probably be able to rattle off exactly what the problem is. But I mean, we've all had probably moments where, shit has gone bad or whatever in a moment, and
yeah, and I mean that's not even anxiety though, is it? Like when stuff actually goes bad, you're in like problem solving mode, and you're like trying to deal with it.
I guess it can trigger it.
Yeah, it can trigger it, or like it's waiting for stuff to go bad.
Yeah,
that's.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a massive anxiety for people. It's like nothing's bad right now.
Yeah,
but something bad could happen.
That's the reason to try and keep your vibration up, because you don't want to live in fear, because fear leads to so many bad situations. So I think worrying and being fearful, it's about what you focus on.
So if you're feeling down, or you're having a difficult day, or you got a low vibration,
yeah,
I know it sounds like I'm getting nitpicky, but like I've had so many times, and I reckon this is for everyone. I've had so many times in my life now where I've been on a low state, low vibration, and haven't felt like I've had a good tool in the toolbox to be able to pick myself back up. I'm reading a different book, and they're like, you gotta be grateful, try some gratitude. And it's like, all right, fuck. All right. Like I'm happy for my friends. I'm happy for this. I'm happy for this. Well, fuck, I've got all these things. Why do I feel so shit?
It doesn't work, does it? Or does that work for you a little bit?
I don't know. Well, maybe I don't know how to do it. I feel like when I'm already feeling good, this is the thing. Like I feel grateful when I'm feeling good, and I'm like, oh yeah, like everything's amazing. I'm so grateful for my friends and family and this and that and da da da. But when I'm really like low for whatever reason, it's like I'm like the opposite of grateful. I'm like not grateful for anything, and that adds to the reason why I feel low. I'm like, fuck, what's wrong with me? I've got all these nice things and I feel shit, and I should be grateful for that, and I'm not. What's wrong with me? And then that kind of like exacerbates the problem.
Okay, does it? Okay,
that's just me sometimes, you know. So I guess some tools work for different people.
I think that's a really good place to start. Just counting all the things that are good, because then for me, when I do that, just go, oh yeah, it's actually not that bad. What's going on, but
gives you a bit of perspective.
Yeah. But I'm kind of like, I don't have long periods where I'm down. Like I've had down periods for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I just like listen to music that really gets me, you know. The music is really another tool, I think. Just find something that really makes you light up and crank it.
That's it. That's actually a good one.
And doing
right
training too, like in the dojo, I always feel good after that. Just like glowing.
It's crazy how that does provide you with so much. When I say you, I mean me. Provides me with so much energy in a lot of ways. There's been a million times where I haven't wanted to go to training, can't be bothered, and then you walk out and you're like, "Fuck, that was so good!" Like you remember why you do it. That is a good feeling. Sometimes when I'm feeling anxious or whatever, just not feeling 100%.
It just puts an end to it. It's just it just transforms your state, doesn't it?
100%. And it definitely makes me realize, like there's nothing wrong in my life right now. It's like I just haven't trained in a few days. Like that's literally all it is. Like haven't moved.
I think it's just exercise, as well. Like even going to the gym, just in the morning, you know, dragging your ass out of bed in the morning and going to the gym, and that helps, you know, for sure. I feel that way. Not as much so as training.
Because you work from home most of the time, right?
Yeah.
And do you have a standing desk or anything like that?
Nah.
So you just you just sit down?
Yeah.
How do you deal with the sedentary lifestyle? I feel like it's killing me. I feel like I don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
My body
it's
my body
a good
can't
question.
handle it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, definitely it's good to be around people, you know, and that's something, you know, you need a balance. You need a good balance, you know. Sort of want to be around people all the time. So it's just, finding the right balance coming into the office, and or just making an effort to reach out, you know, not sort of sit in your cave without reaching out, you know, reach out to your friends. You've got no excuse now with the way we can communicate. It's so easy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it is a challenge, you know, I think. So it's good to definitely just go and meet up with everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, because the isolation side can be difficult. And I think the sedentary lifestyle for a lot of people is probably a massive contributor to just low level anxiety, you know, just like pent up energy that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's quite a common thing, I think, for people, you know, later in life too, you know. I think it's quite common being alone, living by yourself or whatever.
In Western culture for sure, hey.
It's the Western culture. You look at the Italians and the Japanese, they've got their grandmothers and grandfathers there, you know, which is, unfortunately, our cultures has just divided us up. So,
do you like the idea of a big family, like lots of people around?
Absolutely.
All the time? Yeah. You like the idea of that?
Yeah, definitely. You know, you go through phases of your life, you know, when you're a teenager, you don't want to be around anyone, or you want to be around with your mates. You don't want to have family around as much. Well, you know, that's not true for everyone, but I think you just go through phases in your life, and you know, if you're grateful to have family around to support you or help you or teach you or whatever.
Yeah.
I think as humans, that's the way we have to be, you know, have support around us.
Yeah, it's a hard one, hey, because it's like in Western culture, like being independent is kind of one of the highest ideals.
You can do it. It's just hard. Life's hard when you're on your own.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to get a bit of help from your friends.
I can see with you with a big family.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I want to come visit you in New Zealand at some point.
You should come.
We're going to have to go snowboarding together.
Oh, it would be magic.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited to see what you build there.
All right.
I'm very excited. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your week when you've only got a limited time here sorting all of your Melbourne life out here to come over and hang out and have a chat. I always really do appreciate our chats. And like I said, I really do appreciate just our brief car rides to and from training that we've had.
I know, right?
A couple times a year or whatever over the past 4 years or so, which have been really, really awesome. It's I'm super happy to have you on, because not just specifically because like what we're talking about, but and I really do mean this, since COVID, the scope of, or the types, the amount of people that I associate with is really, really limited compared to what it was pre-COVID, and the types of qualities that have been looking for in people have been much rarer in a lot of ways. It's not like there's anything wrong with anybody else, but I've just gotten a lot more specific with the type of qualities that I like in people and the type of qualities that I like to have around me. And the fact that, I don't know, all the conversations that we've had in some pretty crazy times have been, I don't know, like you've been really open-minded with a lot of things, and positive and kind of optimistic as well, and calm as well, not like erratic. And I could keep listing stuff, but yeah, you're a legend, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's been it's always awesome hanging out with you and spending time with you, and I think putting effort into friendships, because sometimes you can't choose your family, and sometimes your family, like if something goes down, who's gonna come and help you out?
Yeah.
And you don't always get that with family. Sometimes friends are better than family.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I'm lucky I've got an amazing family. Like we're all there for each other, So, you got to put an effort into friendships. You really do. So,
for sure,
so
man.
I appreciate your friendship.
Nah, you're a legend. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll do a podcast over in New Zealand at some point. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, and thank you everybody else for tuning in, and catch you on the flip side.
Awesome.